Hello and welcome to my studio. In this video I'm going to show you how I made this picture. This requires no lighting equipment at all, as the subject emits its own light. A relatively simple technique. It can produce a striking image for use as a background or as a piece of festive photo art in its own right. And in this video I'll show you exactly how I did it. Okay, so to start with the table then, what I've done is just put a piece of black cloth on the top of this table. That will just stop any unwanted reflections. So the subject, as you probably gathered, are some fairy lights. Here we are. So these are the LED type fairy lights, just domestic ones. It's quite a long string, and what I'm going to do with these is just suspend them on a lab stand. I've got a lab stand here. What I'm going to do is just pop this on here like that, and just put the lights on there like so. Okay, so I'll just turn those on. There we are. We'll just arrange those fairly randomly for the time being. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to need is my camera. And for this, I'm going to use this full-frame digital SLR, just with a 24-70 zoom lens on the top of it. Now the camera is tethered into Capture One software, so you can see the results as we go along. So besides the camera, I'll also need a tripod to put the camera on. But really, that's it. You don't need any other equipment other than that. And we'll just place this around here somewhere and pop the camera on the top of the tripod, like so. Okay, I will just initially line up the shot. So the first thing I'll do is just focus the image up a bit. There we are, and I'll zoom it all the way into the 70mm end on the zoom lens. There we are, and we'll just wind up the center column a little to about there. There we go. Okay, so now with that done, what I can do is just turn the camera on like so, and the software has recognized the camera, and I can see here these are the settings that I have on the camera at the moment. So it's in full manual mode. I have a shutter speed of 1/250th of a second, ISO 100, and an aperture of f8. Now quite a few of these things are probably going to change, but for now that is what we've got. So the very first thing I'm going to do is just grab a frame just to see if I get any contamination from the house lights. And you can see from this that the illumination from the LEDs is there, but it's not very pronounced. But there's no other contamination. Okay, so to increase the prominence of the lights that I've got on here, what I can do is alter the settings. So I'm going to alter the shutter speed by the equivalent of 2 stops. So one stop would be 125th of a second, and 2 stops would be very roughly a 60th of a second. So with these new settings, I'll grab another image. So this time, these are really starting to come to the fore, but it's still not anything like the amount that I want. So let's take it down by another stop. So from a 60th, I'll go down to a 30th. There we are. Okay, so now that's in the right region, I think. But what you can also see now is that we're picking up quite a lot of the light in the studio. If I just temporarily turn the lights out and we grab that picture again, you should be able to see a bit of a difference. There we are. So you can see the difference between these two images. This is with the house lights on, and this is with the house lights out. So when I come to do the proper image, I'll need to turn the house lights out. but I've turned them back on again for the time being so that we can show you the next part of the technique. Right, so what I'm going to do now is introduce a piece of glass. And again, I'm going to use a retort stand just to hold it in the correct position. So just place that there and just put the glass on the front here. There we are. I've just got a couple of clamps here, so I can just clamp it to the stand. There we are. Just like that. Okay. So now, if I spray the surface of this glass with some water, it will form drops here. And what I need to do is refocus onto those drops, which will throw the lights out of focus. And it will also introduce an interesting distortion in the image. So let's just do that. So just to start it off, I'll just do a couple of areas like that. And I'll just refocus on the glass. There we are. So with that now done, just as a test, I'll just grab another image. We'll see what we get. There we are. It's starting to create the sort of image that I want. You can see that we have sharp elements, which are the points of water on the glass, and the lights themselves are now out of focus. So to increase that effect, what I'm going to do is change the aperture. At the moment I have an aperture of f8, which is giving quite a large depth of field. So I'm going to take that all the way down to 2.8. Now, having done that, if I leave the shutter speed where it is, then it's going to probably overexpose the image. But we'll grab an image and see what we get. Yes, there we go. You can see in this image that the lights are very contaminated with the house lights in the studio, but it's also a little blown out. So what I'm going to do is take this from a 30th to a 60th. And also at this point, I'll turn the house lights out again. Okay, so with the house lights out, we'll grab that again. Yes, so having made those two changes, turning the house lights out and taking the shutter speed down to a 60th of a second, it seems to have improved the image. So the next stage would be to spray some more water on the glass and grab some more images. So off we go. There we go. And I'll just grab that and see what that looks like. Yes, I think that's starting to get there. That's making the sort of image that I want. So we're getting a nice sharp image of the droplets on the glass, and the lights in the background are out of focus. So just spray a bit more water. And grab some more images. And there we go. So there are infinite variations that you can do to this, moving the lights around and so on and changing the focus point. But I think as a festive image, that is pretty good. So with that now captured, what I'll do is go into Photoshop and just do the bare minimum of post-production. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop, and I've loaded up the file of the image that I captured earlier. So the first thing to do would just be to make a copy of this. So I'll just go onto the layer here, right click the mouse, ask for a duplicate layer, but ask for a new document. And we'll just call this Festive Photo Art. There we go. Okay, so Photoshop has made me a new file, Festive Photo Art, at the top here, so I can get rid of the camera original. That's where I'll be editing this file and not the one that came out of the camera. Okay, so there are very few things to do to this. One thing that I might do is just have a look at possibly doing some global image adjustments, such as vibrance, and we'll just increase that ever so slightly. Maybe take the saturation up just a little bit. Okay. And I think overall I'd just like to add a little more bite, and the way that I'm going to do that is just add some unsharp masking. Now this does need to be added with care because it's quite easy to go far too far with this. There we are. So that's what we had before, and that's with the effect. Good, and then finally I'm just going to add a crop. I'm using this for video, so I'm just going to use a specific ratio of 16:9. I'm just going to leave it at that. And there we have it. So a fairly simple little technique is capable of producing quite a nice effect, I think. And I've ended up with a very pleasant piece of festive photo art. So I think overall that's turned out rather well. Okay, well I hope you enjoyed seeing how I made that image. If you like watching these sort of things, do click on the other images as they appear, and don't forget to subscribe. Oh, and hit the like button. Thank you very much for watching.